Welcome back to Home vs. House. I'm Lisa, and this is a channel where I share budget-friendly home decor and lifestyle ideas. Guys, I am back in my backyard kitchen garden, my Potager garden, so to speak. And after a day of rain, I like to come out here because everything is nice and lush and wet and green. And so today I'm about to do a walkthrough on how my plants are doing. I think I'm gonna start at the top. As you all could see, I did add some shade cloth to my garden beds because we are experiencing excessive heat in my area, and so I have an assortment of vegetables growing here, mostly greens. I have some green peas that I don't think is going to survive much longer. I did get I planted it pretty late in the season. I actually planted it quite early, and then we had just lots of rain and just heavy flash floods, and they got washed away before I built up this garden bed, and then I planted some more. And so I'm gonna lift the cover up a little bit so you can see what's happening in there. So again, I have an assortment of green peas, collard greens, cabbage, lettuce, and kale growing in here. And I've been harvesting it quite a bit earlier in the season. This bed got eaten pretty good by rabbits, and since I've built up my garden beds to what it is now, it was just this bottom piece here, down here, and then I built it up a little bit taller, and the rabbits have not been getting in there. The shade cloths has like two different purposes. It does keep the sun from scorching the plant a bit, and it also keeps like the yellow butterfly from just really eating out my greens. So I'm very pleased about that. Let's keep going. Guys, look at my ground cover, my clover ground cover in this area. For quite a number of years, I've tried different things. I've tried sedum growing here, but this garden is a mostly shaded backyard space, and so here the sedum was not doing very well. The clover seeds have been doing much better, and so I'm very pleased with it. This was the older, I planted those earlier, and then these are the later, about a week ago. So they're coming up very nicely. And then I added these pavers here within the last week. And then I sprinkled ground cover in between. My Wagelia bush is spreading out beautifully. I may need to cut back just this area, the walk area here, but that's going to be pruning for another day. This annual basket I added recently. I got it on clearance just for a pop of color, and it's doing its work. Over here, my thyme came back from last year, and so I've been harvesting this quite a bit. Guys, it rained all day yesterday. It wasn't heavy rain, but let's see. I didn't get a whole lot of collection of rainwater, but I got a little bit. This was a recent shrub that I planted about a week ago. I showed it on the last video, and I forgot the name. of this shrub, but I got it on clearance for like $7, and so I added it here. Let's see, alongside the fence, I have a combination of yellow coneflower and Black Eye Susan. I see my Black Eye Susan on this end is starting to bloom. And the coneflowers and the Black Eye Susan do really well in the heat. And watering, they're not, I water it when I water my garden, but also it could survive some just really hot weather without watering every day. In between, I planted some spruce trees. I see one has died off some and 2 remain. I still have 2 more that I need to bring from up front. Guys, I planted some corn and sunflower alongside the inside of this fence a couple of weeks ago. I have not seen any sign, but I'm going to wait on weeding this area just to see if they will pop up a little bit later. Again, with the heavy rain that happened about, not last week, but the week before last, things got washed out. So it is what it is. I did move some blueberry plants that I had in the cinder blocks over here to another area. I'll show you here in a bit because they just was not doing very well. I'm not sure if it was the soil or what, but I moved them again. This here is a lemon cucumber. I planted this for the first time this year, and so I see some flowers, and I'm excited to see what become of it. This beautiful blossom here is a carrot that I'm letting to go to seed. Guys, and here's one of the blueberries. So I left this one. I have a little pepper here that's not doing all that great in that area. However, my cherry tomatoes, I think this is cherry tomatoes, they are loving this spot. I see some blooms on there, so hopefully I get some cherry tomatoes. So in this spot right here, I recently got this blackberry plant, and I planted it here because this is a sunny spot, a full sun spot when the sun is out. Yesterday didn't get much sunlight, and today I'm not sure. The morning is pretty gloomy, but we'll see if the sun come out a little bit later. Guys, here's where I planted some of the blueberry plants that I took from the cinder blocks. So I have 3 of them here. Again, this is a sunnier area. Not sure they're gonna thrive there, but I don't know where else to put them in my garden. So if you're watching this video and you have some ideas, I would love for you to share. Over here, this is a second raised bed that this one actually is still recovering from the rabbits. This one actually ate out most of the plants, so I'm gonna lift up the cover a bit. I have beans growing here, and again, I had planted some beans earlier in the season and they got washed away. I planted some more and they're coming up. I have, let's see what else. I have kale growing here. I have broccoli growing here, cabbage, as well as a Swiss chard plant that I transplanted over here. So again, this garden bed got all the plants were pretty much eaten by the rabbits before I built up the garden beds, and since then they're trying to recover. I have another pepper plant here. Not sure this is a good spot for it because this is a partially shaded area. And then I have a cucumber plant here as well. I showed on last video I planted a cana lily here, and then this one I also planted a Weigela plant, not a Weigela, what was the other shrub? I can't remember the name. Here, I think I still have the tag. I think it's an azalea. Yep, this one is an azalea. So I also got this for $7 on clearance from Walmart, and I planted it here. My forsythia, again, not sure this is a great area for it, but guys, this garden is a lot of trial and error to see what will grow, and I just have to work with the space that I do have. As I mentioned before, it's a mostly shaded backyard space with some full sun just in this area here, and then partial sun over here. So I'm doing the best that I can. My geranium though, love this spot. I have my marigold that was a volunteer plant from last year, came back up in this DIY planter. And guys, over here, the clover ground cover is doing very well. This is a garden room that I'm still trying to build up. I did try to add a stain to this wall here, this DIY wall. It didn't come out exactly how I wanted it to, but I get to try again to see what else I can do to that space. So more to come on that. All right, I'm gonna go back down here and show you other areas of this space. Over here, I planted 2 morning glory, and they're both coming up. And the idea is for it to trellis up this wooden trellis that I picked up from Aldi's. And then over here, I just have a parsley patch that I've harvested quite a bit, as recent as yesterday. Over here, I have some plants that does well in shaded areas. Some astilbe that is finishing up its bloom, some heuchera, and then bleeding hearts. The bleeding hearts bloom in the spring, so I had some beautiful blooms here. And then this area, I've added an assortment of plants here recently. Going back over here, I got this elderberry stem earlier in the season, the spring, the beginning of spring, end of winter, beginning of spring, at a community seed fair that I attended. And guys, it's doing well. So I'm hoping in the years to come to get some elderberry to add to my teas and fruit collection and all the things that elderberry is good for. It does also have medicinal purposes, so I'm excited about that. Guys, here is my cabbage bed, cabbage sage bed. So this is the smallest raised bed that I have, and I'm gonna lift up the cover a bit and show you how my cabbage is progressing. And then in the middle, I have sage growing. I did go ahead and move the uh, rosemary plant that I had down here, and then I also had dill growing here, and the dill died off. I think it was just too much rain that it had to endure, and it died off. But the cabbage is doing beautiful, so I'm excited about it. This is the first time, so I've planted cabbage in the past, and this is the first time it's gotten to this stage where it's actually folding. Over here I have, let's see, I have an eggplant that, guys, it had some blooms on it and the blooms dried off, so I don't know if I'm gonna get eggplants this season, but we'll see. I'm gonna hold on to it just a little bit longer. Marigolds are in the middle of this, so I did some companion planting here in this spot. I have a tomato plant that I've harvested tomatoes, one tomato from here before, and I see some flowers. In between, I have basil here that I've been harvesting, another eggplant that maybe I'll get eggplants from here. We'll see. In between, a marigold that's trying to come back from getting eaten by the rabbits, and then this tomato plant here that I've harvested one tomato so far, and I see a few tomatoes on there, so I'm excited about it. And then back here I just have another herb in between, guys. So this is the other side of this area. I have a morning glory growing down here that's going to trellis up this trellis, and then here's my sedum patch that I'm building up. And I've just collected sedum from other areas of my home. So my front garden area had some sedum. This here is the sedum that I had growing where I just showed the ground cover. So I pulled the remains up and I have it in this pot here. My hydrangea that I had transplanted over here, this seemed to be a better spot for it. It does get some sunlight, but not enough to scorch it. And then my honeysuckle, it is growing wild, guys. So I need to train. A few weeks ago I trained some of the branches alongside this fence, and I just need to do a little bit more because since then it has grown some. This is a strawberry patch that I've harvested out of quite a bit, and it's continuing to give me strawberries, so I'm pleased about that. Over here I had planted a daylily in between this patch of bearded iris. My peony plant, again, I've moved this around quite a bit. Never got a bloom out of it, and this is maybe my 4th year of having it, so it's still green, so I'm still keeping it. Over here, some more hydrangea and daylily. And then, guys, in this patch here, let me move over here. On this side of the cinder block, I have some purple basil. I've harvested that quite a bit. Another tomato plant. Some oregano that I've used for teas and cooking. Some more peppers, thyme, and tomato. And then on the very end, I have lavender that is thriving here, and I use that for my evening teas. Let's see, let's go back over here. So again, this area is a really nice garden room. I come and sit here to get reading and just kind of reflect. It's a place where I do lots of reflection, and so I did get a new piece of wood to repair this bench. This was a wooden bench that I picked up on the side of the road, and I'm repairing it bit by bit. It's got strong bones, so I am going to keep it around for a little bit, and then I mostly have just coneflowers that is blossoming very nicely, and then my hosta plants back here. This last garden bed also was eaten by the rabbits. Guys, I have, let's see, an assortment. I'm gonna raise it up from a different spot to show you. I have some Chinese cabbage growing here, some regular cabbage, kale as well. The Chinese cabbage I've been harvesting from, and then this watermelon plant over here that I'm not sure I'm going to get a harvest out of, but I planted it nevertheless. So this bed does look a little bare, but still holding on to it. Guys, look at this morning glory that has trellised up here. And so I'm hoping to get some gorgeous purple bloom here pretty soon. This patch here, guys, I feel so bad for this sedum because it gets stepped on, things got laid down on it. So look at this one compared to this patch that looks nice and healthy, and it doesn't get abused at all, versus this one that just looks really straggly. So gotta do better. My spirea plant, so I did do some pruning a little bit ago. I also did some pruning of this spruce, but I still have to do some on this side. So I cut down on the top, and I got some of the branches over on this side. So I still have to do here. Let's see. I did cut back on this boxwood, these two boxwood, and then I planted this vinca over here instead where I had it before. These two baskets of annuals are doing well here, and then I moved my what is it called, clematis over here because where I had it before, I had it here last year and it did well last year, and then I moved it over here recently, and it was not thriving. It wasn't getting enough sunlight, and so the trick with this plant is to have the base nice and have a nice and cool area to grow in, but then the stems needs to have sunlight. So we'll see. Last year it didn't do that bad over here, but I'm still trying to find a perfect home spot for it. I did plant some cilantro here that I've harvested a little bit ago, and then I've got lettuce growing here. I did recently pop some coleus stem in this box, and they're coming. They're alive. In fact, this one is flowering some. I stuck some in here as well, and they're doing well. All right, what else, guys? I think we have come to the end, almost to the end of this walkthrough over here. The clover ground cover is doing okay. Yesterday I cleaned up this spot because I'm going to lay down some clover seeds here. I did lay some down at the further end and they're coming up nicely. There's a couple of spots that I still need to get, and then this area. So the plan is to have clover seeds laid down all back here, and this is like outside the garden, but still my backyard space. So I'm gonna do this area here, and then after I get this area up and going, I'm going to then clean up this area and close it off and lay down some ground cover, and this would be the last area of this space, and then just kind of watch the clover seeds do its thing to create a backyard where I don't have to mow this area. And honestly guys, I would love to have all the spaces that I mow back here and on the side of my home be covered with clover ground covers, but that is a project that I'm doing bit by bit. All right, well, I have truly come to the end of this garden tour, and so thank you so much for sticking with me this far and seeing my Potager garden, where I come out here. It's a mixture of beautiful perennials, annuals, vegetables, herbs, and I've recently started adding fruits like strawberries, blueberries, and blackberries. So I come out here every day, literally minutes before I start cooking, and grab herbs and some greens, whatever I can harvest from. And I love doing that and having that available to me. I've cut back on, actually I've cut totally out of buying herbs for my teas and my cooking this season. I've also cut back on greens. I have not bought kale or I'm not growing spinach, but I usually get spinach from the store. I have not bought that lately either. I have bought cabbage, but I'm waiting for these to mature. So this is truly a delight to just come down to my backyard and get what I need to put in to my food for my family and I. Guys, if you're a gardener, I know that you have a similar story. I would love for you to drop just a few lines of your garden experience, your kitchen garden, where you are eating what you plant. So again, thank you so much for joining me on this walkthrough and staying this far. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I ask that you do so for similar content, and like and add a comment as well as, and also share this video with someone else to get some inspiration. And in the meantime, stay well, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.